In this video, we're going to break down how you can get 10 times the amount of views on LinkedIn, but without posting more content, because you might be in a situation where if you're a coach, consultant, agency owner, or B2B service provider, you've been posting on LinkedIn, but you're just finding that you're not getting the types of results that you're looking for. But the problem is not actually that you're not posting enough. The problem is that you just don't understand how LinkedIn's algorithm actually works. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how it does work, how it basically makes decisions on who sees your content, the real mistake that actually is killing your reach, and how a few different algorithm hacks that can get you 10 times the amount of views on every single post that you have. And this is the same type of approach that's taken me to over 55,000 followers, all completely organically on LinkedIn, with over 10 million impressions on the platform, with our clients' calendars looking full like this, with full inboxes like this, and Stripe dashboards that look like this, based on taking the types of advice that we're going to cover in this particular video. So by diagnosing the visibility problem first and foremost, what you're finding is that you actually may have pretty good content and you know it could help a lot of people, but the algorithm's actually just not showing it to people. So what we know is that your reach seems like it's capped. And until we really understand why, you're just going to continue to stay stuck at a few hundred views per post, no matter how much you go on to post. So we'll dive into really how the algorithm actually works, because a lot of people don't get this. When you hit publish on a post, LinkedIn doesn't show it to all of your followers immediately. Instead, it goes through 3 different stages. The first stage is the initial test. So in the first 60 minutes, LinkedIn shows your post just to a small percentage of your network, usually 5 or 10%, if that, and it treats that as a test group. Now, the second stage is then expansion. So if your post gets strong engagement from that test group, LinkedIn then expands the reach and then shows it to more people, i.e. your full network plus your second degree connections. Then the third stage is viral potential. So if the engagement continues to be strong, LinkedIn will then push your post even further to people outside of your network who might be interested in the same topic. So the problem is that most posts end up dying in stage 1. They just don't get enough engagement in the first 60 minutes. So LinkedIn then kills the reach and it moves on. And this is why understanding the algorithm is so important. Now, with all of that said, let's talk about the first 60 minutes in a bit more detail, because this is where most people end up losing the game. LinkedIn will measure what it calls engagement velocity. So this is basically how quickly your post gets engagement after you publish it, because not all engagement is equal. Comments can be typically worth more than likes, and shares worth even more than comments. So if your post gets strong engagement in the first 60 minutes, especially comments and shares, LinkedIn basically says this is valuable content, let's show it to more people. But if your post gets weak engagement in the first 60 minutes, it basically says to LinkedIn, this isn't really resonating, let's just kill the reach. This is why your timing, your engagement strategy, and your post structure matter so much, because you really need to maximize engagement in that critical first hour. So with that being said, if you post when your audience isn't actually online, you're not going to get as much engagement in the first 60 minutes. So you need to think to yourself, well, when is my audience most active? So for example, for B2B professionals, the great times could be a Tuesday through Thursday, either between 7 to 9 a.m. or 12 to 2 p.m. Even the evening works well as well. But don't just take my word for it. What you need to do is ultimately test, right? Test different times, track your results, look at your post analytics and see when you get the most engagement, and then really double down on those times. Because when you post at peak times, you just add your ability to actually maximize your chances of really getting strong engagement in that first 60 minutes, which then triggers the algorithm to expand your reach even more. Now, with that said, here's the second algorithm hack: write hooks that stop the scroll. Now, the first line of your post is arguably the most important line, because it determines whether people stop and read or they keep scrolling. So if your first line is just boring and generic, people will scroll past it, you'll get no engagement and no reach. So a bad hook would be something like, I want to share some thoughts on LinkedIn strategy. Nobody cares, they'll just keep scrolling. Whereas a great hook could be, I lost 50K because I ignored this one thing about LinkedIn's algorithm. Now you're going to have someone's attention because they want to know what that one thing is. So use bold claims, questions, or curiosity gaps to stop the scroll, because when people stop and read, they're more likely to engage, and then that engagement will trigger the algorithm. Now, the third algorithm hack is to ask for engagement the right way. So if you end your post with something like and comment if you agree, you're not necessarily doing it the right way. That's basically lazy. It doesn't really work. Instead, you can ask a specific question that invites a real response. So for example, you could say, What's the biggest challenge with LinkedIn right now? Question mark. Or have you experienced this? Let me know in the comments. Because when you actually ask a specific question, people are more likely to leave a thoughtful comment, and then thoughtful comments actually trigger a signal to LinkedIn that your post is valuable, and then that triggers the algorithm to expand your reach thereafter. Now, the fourth hack is to respond to every comment fast. So when someone leaves a comment on your post, respond immediately, especially in the first 60 minutes. The reason why is because LinkedIn tracks your response rate and response speed. So if you're actively engaging with your audience, LinkedIn will see that as a signal that your post is actually valuable. Plus, every time you respond to a comment, it creates another engagement signal. So the comment thread then ends up growing, the engagement velocity increases, and the algorithm will push your post to even more people. So don't just post and walk away. Stay engaged for the first hour and respond to every single comment. Now, the fifth hack is then to use the engagement pod strategy. So this is a tactic and it can work very well, which is where you create a small group of 5 to 10 trusted connections, people that you know that they're actually active on LinkedIn and who you can trust and they trust you. So when you hit publish, you can send them a quick direct message and then just say, hey, I posted something I think you'd find valuable, would love your thoughts. And if they engage in the first 15 minutes, it will jumpstart the algorithm because LinkedIn will see immediate engagement and start pushing your post to more people. It's not actually about gaming the system. This is really about leveraging your network to get your valuable content in front of more people who can actually benefit from that content. Now, the sixth algorithm hack is to avoid external links in your posts. So something that a lot of people don't know is that LinkedIn penalizes posts that contain external links. And the reason why is because LinkedIn wants to keep people on its platform. So if you're sending people to your website or YouTube or anywhere else, LinkedIn will then reduce your reach. So what do you do if you do want to share a link? Well, put it in the first comment instead. Then publish your post without any links, and then you can immediately comment on your own post with the link to what you want to direct people to. This way your post will get full reach and the people who are interested can still click on the link in the comment section. Now, the seventh algorithm hack is to use line breaks and good formatting. Now, if your post just looks like a wall of text, people are going to scroll past it because it's too hard to read, especially on mobile. So instead, use short paragraphs and line breaks. Make your post just easy to scan, easy to read. For example, instead of writing one long paragraph, break it into 3 or 4 short paragraphs with line breaks in between. This will then increase readability, and when your post is easy to read, people are just more likely to engage, and then that engagement will trigger the algorithm. Now, the eighth algorithm hack is to post consistently, but you don't need to overdo it, especially during the early days. You don't actually need to post every day. In fact, posting too much, it can fatigue your audience if your quality is not yet where it needs to be. So a good sweet spot is 3 to 4 times a week, because this will keep you top of mind without overwhelming your audience. And the key is that quality plus consistency beats volume every time. So it's better to post 3 high quality strategic posts rather than 7 mediocre posts, because the algorithm will reward the engagement and not necessarily just the frequency. So instead, focus on creating posts that people actually want to engage with and then post them consistently. Now, the ninth hack is to use relevant hashtags, but not too many. Now, hashtags can be helpful. They're not absolutely mandatory, but especially when you're trying to get off the ground, they can be quite useful, especially in particular niches, just that have less competition, to help your initial post and your initial start on LinkedIn, just to get off, basically off of ground zero. Now, when you do all of this, you're going to get to a point where you're going to get many more views. You're going to get to a segment where your engagement rates will go up, and you'll get more profile views and also connection requests. Basically, your content's going to get the reach that it actually deserves. Now, this is a small piece of the type of thing that we cover within the Influx Autopilot system, helping our clients to generate qualified leads on autopilot through LinkedIn. So if something like that's of interest to you, I'm going to leave a link in the description box below of this video where you'll be able to watch a short video, slightly more extended than this, to give you a little bit more color and context around what it would look like to generate leads on autopilot through LinkedIn. So again, check out the link I've left in the description box below. If you found this particular video helpful, please do take a moment to like it, leave a thoughtful comment, also share it with a friend, and also subscribe. And I do look forward to seeing you on the next video.